So again, thanks for joining us this morning. We're super excited that you're here, and we're super excited to just dive in and talk about our program and what we have to offer. So I saw some familiar names on the attendee list. So some of you might know me and might know Skippy, but for those of you that are new, welcome. We're glad you're here. My name is Carrie Kennengeiser. I am the program director for Skippy, as we like to call it, South Carolina Partnerships for Inclusion. And we are funded by the South Carolina Department of Education's Office of Special Education Services, and we are housed at the University of South Carolina's Child Development Research Center, which is out of the College of Education. So if you're here today, I'm probably preaching to the choir, but children with disabilities, including those with really the most significant disabilities and the highest needs, can make significant development and learning progress in inclusive early childhood settings. We know that preschool inclusion improves kindergarten readiness and later success, and it also sets a trajectory for inclusion across the life course. So we began this work in 2016, and we were under a temporary grant at that time, but we've continued to grow our program through continued funding by OSIS. If you've worked with us previously, and like I said, I saw some familiar names and some familiar districts, at that time, we worked with any district who was interested in receiving free training and technical assistance to increase inclusive opportunities in early childhood. Now, our process has shifted just a bit recently, and our program has expanded a lot more. So Skippy continues to provide the necessary supports and resources to support meaningful and lasting changes at the local level to expand inclusive opportunities for young students with disabilities. But we are now reinforcing OSIS's early childhood framework and their tiered system of supports. So our priority is to provide targeted technical assistance to districts in need of supports to help them meet federal compliance and performance indicators that lead to improved early childhood outcomes. Specifically, we focus on indicators 6, 7, and 12. So indicator 6 is around least restrictive environment in preschool. 7 is about child outcome summary, and 12 is that transition from Part C to Part B services. And I did see a hand raise, so I'll just remind everyone, please use the Q&A feature if you have any questions for us. So with that expansion, we were able to add several new team members to our Skippy team, and I am just personally so excited to have some of them here with me today. We've really got a great bunch of folks, so I'm going to sit back and let my TA team introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Melissa Griffin, and I'm the Technical Assistance Coordinator here at Skippy. I have over 18 years experience in the early childhood field, including early intervention and program administration. And I am excited for the opportunity to partner with districts to ensure that children are receiving the highest quality services possible.
Good morning. My name is Ladrika Jones. I'm a technical assistant specialist with Skippy. I have over 15 years experience in the early childhood field, and I look forward to working with you.
Greetings. I'm Dana Bennett, and I'm the technical assistant specialist, and I have over 18 years in the early childhood field of experience, 18 in the public school district with early childhood special ed programming and inclusion. And I can't wait to support you in your program.
Thanks all. So before we dive into what we do, I'd like to just do a little temperature check and see how familiar you are with Skippy. So I'm going to launch a quick poll. And if you'll just share with us what you know about us, we'd appreciate it. We hosted a session yesterday afternoon, and it's it's interesting to see kind of the split from those who were able to join us yesterday and those who were able to join us today. We had a lot of folks yesterday who had never heard of us, who are really new to the program. So it looks like most of you have completed it. I'll give you about 10 seconds if you didn't. And I'm going to go ahead and end that and share it. So many of you have, oh, no, let me read it again. It's not a split. I'm so happy to have folks who have never heard of us join in to learn more about us. And I'm also really happy to see some familiar faces as well. So if you've worked with us before, you're going to learn some new things. And if you're new to Skippy, you're definitely going to learn some things. So thank you everyone for joining in. And with that, I'll pass it back to Melissa.
Okay, so what do we do here at Skippy? Well, like Carrie mentioned, we are South Carolina's Early Childhood Technical Assistance Center, funded through the Office of Special Education. We provide individualized assistance to districts across the state to help them facilitate inclusion for young children with disabilities, as well as meet federal indicators to improve childhood outcomes. You might be wondering what that might look like. So we have a video for you. And this video is not a South Carolina video. It is a Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction video, but we chose it because their vision very closely aligns with our profile of a South Carolina graduate. So here you go.
I felt nervous, very nervous. I was with him full time, and then to hand him over is nerve-wracking.
It's mostly fear of the unknown. I didn't know how we would fare in a classroom setting with all those typically developing kids, and then how he would understand those instructions and those lessons that are being taught by the teachers.
In early childhood, every classroom is an inclusive classroom. Well, whether you're talking about children with abilities or just children that have had different life experiences up until this point. You look at your environment differently, and how is the environment accessible to every child, and how is your environment set up so that every child is getting exactly what they need.
Our mission and vision statement are anchored in high expectations and outcomes for all students. So living that out at the early childhood level, that was the work.
I think it all starts with that IEP process. So really having that evaluation team and the current team writing those functional goals and objectives. My goal is that services such as speech, OT, PT, all those could be embedded right within the classroom and the routines that we have.
When you are an early childhood kid between 3 and 5 years old, you want to do what your friends are doing, and to have children the expectation that they're going to sit and do one specific thing at any given time that you choose doesn't always work out. But when it's an itinerant model, having those service providers coming into the environment, working with kids, doing things that kids are naturally doing is in the best interest of kids.
We used to have our kids that are the kids in childcare, and then our kids with IEPs that were joining that group. So it kind of starting out to meeting those needs more individually, which has really turned into that all that joint ownership. All kids belong, both reg ed and special ed teacher and therapists too, that we all are a team for every child.
I think teachers learn from other teachers. And so when you have special education people in there, whether it's an OT or a PT or a speech person or just a special education teacher, they are modeling different behaviors or using different words that as the regular ed teacher, you can listen and go, oh, I may be able to use that with another child.
He's learning in class, he's engaged in class, he has relationships.
Before, we were like thinking maybe we're going to be there for the rest of our lives to support him with all the needs that he got. But we are so happy to see that he can really do the things that he can do right now. Those skills has developed so much. He can truly create something wonderful, and that really makes us very proud.
I think what we know now is that there are more questions than there are answers, and to be open to every opportunity that you are given, to learn and to develop always what's in the best interest of the child, and to give them those opportunities to show you what they need and to listen to them.
It makes me really optimistic for his future. You know, I used to worry a lot about, would he fit in? Would he get picked on? How would his classroom environment be? But he has become quite the popular guy at school. So he comes into class and I can't even tell you how many kids hug him. He has true friendships, true relationships in class. And he brings a special just energy to his class. And it's positive for his classmates too, to see that.
I hope inclusion promotes awareness to those typically developing kids that there are other kids like our son that need support as they try to learn their way through life.
There's a softness there, there's an empathy there that I see in his peers. So we didn't expect that, but we love it.
We know that young children need a variety of rich experiences with all of their peers. And we also know that not only children with, but those without disabilities benefit from inclusive environments.
So we've seen that video several times, but every time we do, it leaves me feeling all warm and fuzzy. So how can Skippy help? We have a variety of supports ready to assist you. We provide tiered assistance in order to meet the individual needs of districts, starting with universal supports. So universal supports, think very broadly. Those are the proactive supports that can benefit all districts, regardless of their strengths or areas for growth. Those can be professional development, so understanding the rationale for inclusion, making accommodations and modifications for inclusion, supporting social and emotional development, and teaming and collaboration. Those are just some of the opportunities that are available. Also, we know that early childhood inclusion doesn't happen in the classroom by itself. I mean, we have to build community-wide partnerships that bring families, childcare programs, teachers, district leaders, Head Start, all those members to the table to build a culture of inclusion. So we've worked with many district teams to support these cross-collaborative partnerships and relationships, and we can also connect school districts with other districts who are embarking on similar work. We also have an early childhood inclusion conference. You'll hear us mention this a couple times, so don't worry, there'll be more on that. And then you can look at targeted supports. So that is more focused on areas for improvement or areas for growth based on school district needs. And you'll find things like strategic planning, resource libraries, communities of practice, and targeted trainings. Under the intensive level, you will see specific needs being identified for a district. And so we will work with the district to provide resources for a district level cross-sector community leadership team. We will work with the team to evaluate the district's strengths and areas for growth pertaining to early childhood and the early childhood indicators. And we will also facilitate the creation of a 5-year strategic plan to improve those outcomes. We'll talk more about that in just a minute as well. So in 2022 and 2023, OSIS has determined that this will be a voluntary project. And so this is kind of a snapshot of what that might look like. The first step would be to apply for technical assistance, and that it will be open till October 1st of 22. Districts will have an opportunity to choose a format that works for them in terms of scheduling and planning. And Although participation is voluntary, it is also needs-based. So when we review those applications, we'll look at the information provided in the application as well as OSIS determination data to make selections about who would be a priority district. And we're going to provide some application information at the end of the session. As you move on to step 2, if a district is accepted, then we will schedule the path. I know you've heard me mention that a couple times too. Like I said, we'll talk more about that. I'm not going to leave you hanging, but we will schedule a path, and then we will also provide districts with some pre-work, which is a self-assessment facilitator's guide and tool to help identify strengths and areas for growth within their district. That's going to help them to identify steps for reaching their North Star goal, what we call their North Star goal, or a 5-year goal. Okay. So step 3 would be that we would come together, the technical assistant specialist and the district leadership team, and we would review the results of that self-assessment tool. We would look for strengths, areas for growth, and resources. We would also complete what's called an eco map, and some of you may be familiar with that, but to identify district partnerships or possible district partnerships. So you may have community partners that you're working with already, and that's fabulous. We'll evaluate the goals or the relationships and strength. And then we'll also look at some new partnerships that can be created. We will complete the PATH, which it stands for Planning Alternative Tomorrows with Hope. And it was developed by Jack Pierpoint and Marcia Forrest in 1992. For those of you are familiar with Leader in Me, it is beginning with the end in mind. So we will look at those North Star 5-year goals, and then we'll work backward to determine what steps and resources will be necessary to reach those. And just a shameless plug, our pyramid model coordinator, Jennifer Harris, and I will be conducting an introductory session on PATH at our Early Childhood Inclusion Conference in October. So you'll have an opportunity to register for that as well. Okay, so back to our snapshot here. Once we develop the path, we are going to look at different TA activities that our team and the district leadership team can work on together. So we will schedule those and complete those, along with meeting regularly to evaluate progress and data. That is a fluid process, so it will be tailored to meet the district's needs. So when we complete the path, we will come up with regularly scheduled meeting dates so that we can plan for anything the district might have come up. We know you guys have an incredibly busy schedule, so we try to accommodate for that. And we can adjust that as needed based on changes and feedback from the district. I know I said data, and I'm sure everybody went, because that's what we do when we talk about data. But this would simply be raw data. OSIS, we would not share any of that with OSIS or anyone outside of the SCPI team. We would simply be reviewing data in order to evaluate our progress and our direction. So I don't want anybody to be worried about that. And then if you look at the blue square, you will see that at the end of the school year, the district team and SCPI staff will reconvene to evaluate the progress that's been made, and then determine direction. I did that yesterday too, guys. Determine direction and revision of the path for the upcoming school year. So that's the process in a snapshot. And I do have a question that came up here in the chat. We will get to your question here in a little bit. I'm going to pass it on to Dana so she can tell you a little bit about the responsibilities and roles.
All right.
We really want to ensure success for you and your program and want full transparency. So in that vein, we're going to talk about some roles and responsibilities for the Skippy team. Skippy will demonstrate professionalism and respect in all interactions, establish team member roles and a point of contact for both Skippy and the district in order to streamline those communications. We'll create an engaging and accepting professional environment where all members feel comfortable sharing their ideas and asking questions, and maintain consistent and open communication with the district to ensure that the most accurate and up-to-date information is readily available. We'll respond promptly to all communication, and obviously you hear communication is key here. We will facilitate opportunities to obtain feedback from LEA data team members in order to best meet the needs and learning styles of the staff. We'll utilize data collection methods for monitoring progress towards goals, as Melissa just mentioned, as well as identifying strengths and areas in need of improvement. Initiate monthly check-ins to evaluate progress and determine if additional supports are necessary to meet action items within the established timeline. And on the next slide, we'll talk about roles and responsibilities for the district teams. Districts should also demonstrate professionalism and respect and actively participate in scheduled meetings. If a meeting must be rescheduled, the LEA should contact Skippy as soon as they're aware of the need. We'll work with you to reschedule that. Maintain consistent and open communication with Skippy to ensure the most accurate and up-to-date information is readily available. Respond promptly to communication and notify Skippy of any changes within the district that will directly affect the delivery of technical assistance or progress towards your goals. And it is highly recommended that the district staff participate in Skippy's Early Childhood Inclusion Conference. And you'll hear more about that in a couple slides. It will give each team time for planning and preparation, so it'll benefit you all. All right, I'm going to pass this on to Ladrika for information on additional supports that we offer.
Thank you, Dana. Excuse me, we have additional supports to help you develop your district's capacity. The first level I want to mention is our virtual community of practice. We will focus on inclusion in the areas of access, support, and barriers to inclusion at the preschool level. The purpose of our community of practice is to, number one, create a safe learning community for sharing and receiving thoughts, ideas, and information for all participants. Number two, we want to provide resources that will support evidence-based practices in classrooms and workplaces. And number three, we want to promote equity for children with disabilities through conversations regarding the increase of access, supports, and participation. Dana and I are the facilitators of the community of practice, and we are so excited about the conversations and the networking opportunities that will take place. Join us on the fourth Monday of each month, beginning September 26, 2022. The link and interest form will be added in the chat box to register for this exciting opportunity. Now we'll have some information about our SEED Academy and Pyramid Pieces by Carrie.
Thanks, Ladrika. And Ladrika, are those interest forms for the community practice, they're due today, right? Today's the last day to sign up.
That's right. Thank you for reminding me, Carrie. It's Friday.
Yeah, I know, no problem.
It is due today. So make sure you go ahead and register. Dana and I will be so excited that we all get together and discuss all of these exciting opportunities that we can do with inclusion. Thank you.
Thanks. And I know that Ladrika and Dana have been working really hard to plan thoughtful topics of discussion for that community of practice. So I've signed up. I'm really excited about it myself. So to talk a little bit about some of the other supports that we have available that Ladrika mentioned, some of you might be familiar with the SEED Academy. That's the Special Education Itinerant Teacher Academy. And this is something that Dr. Kate Aceta has been doing for the last 2 years. and it is a virtual continuing education series that's designed to promote and support the implementation of a special education itinerant model within early childhood programs as part of their continuum of services for preschool children with disabilities. The 2023 cohort should begin in May, and more information can be found on our website. So if you have any questions about that, you can just let us know, but it's an excellent opportunity. And we've had a few, I want to say around 10 districts already go through that process because we've had 2 cohorts. So we can always connect you with those districts if you want to learn about, their experience in participating in that. And then for pyramid pieces. So who is familiar with the pyramid model on this call? You can feel free to type in the chat, or if you're a little more Zoom savvy, you can use a thumbs up or a heart emoji. So I like to get on my soapbox a lot of times about things that I'm passionate about, and the pyramid model is one of many. This is a framework of evidence-based practices that promote young children's healthy social and emotional development, and really supports inclusive practices. So we know that social emotional development is the foundation for all other learning. And research shows us that children who have healthy social and emotional skills tend to learn better, they're more likely to stay in school, and they're better able to make and keep lifelong friends. And isn't that what we want for anyone that we care about, right? Isn't that what we want for our babies? So the goal of the pyramid model is really to promote young children's success. And this is a framework that is for birth through 5. This is not a special education initiative. This is not just something for children without disabilities. This is for all kids birth through 5. It's good practice. So it focuses on creating an environment where every single child feels good about coming to preschool. Designing an environment that promotes child engagement, because we know if a child is engaged in the classroom and the activities, then they are less likely to engage in behavior that as adults we find challenging. And it focuses on teaching children what to do. So teaching those expectation and routines, teaching skills that children can use in place of challenging behaviors, because if kids are using a behavior that you find challenging, it's probably because that behavior is working for them, and teaching social emotional skills that are really critical to child's outcomes. So the great news is that in our state, we are committed to implementing the pyramid model, and we have a cross-sector group that we're calling Pyramid Pieces. And the mission for Pyramid Pieces is to promote social emotional well-being for infants, for young children, and for their families, and to assure that they have access to developmentally appropriate, equitable, and inclusive learning environments. So we've got lots of different folks working on our state leadership team that are across early childhood sectors in our state. And we'll be launching a Pyramid Pieces website this fall, I think around November. That should come out, and it'll just have a ton of information about what we're doing in our state through the various early childhood sectors to really support pyramid model implementation. So you might be wondering, okay, but Ladrika said that we were talking about supports available through SCPI. So what does Pyramid Pieces have to do with that? Well, SCPI has a Pyramid Pieces team that is available to support districts with implementation of the pyramid model. So you may have seen some information recently, but our program-wide implementation support applications for this year recently closed, but we do have some other trainings available. And if you're interested in learning more about program-wide implementation, you can definitely check out our YouTube for a recorded informational session that talked about what that really looks like for school districts. And if you happen to hop on the call and you're not with a school district, we can link you up with others who are trying to implement in childcare, and we are working to expand, like I said, across sectors. So we have this vision that it's going to be everywhere. And I know Head Start, pyramid model started in Head Start as CEFL. So if you've heard of CEFL, then you're familiar with that. We want to get it to our EIs. We want to get it everywhere. Again, okay, so I'll step off my soapbox a little bit and I'll tell you about an upcoming training opportunity through Pyramid Pieces. So if you missed out on applying for implementation, but you'd like to learn more, there is a 2-part virtual community of practice that will feature 5 weekly sessions this fall, starting on October 6th, and 7 weekly sessions in the spring. So anyone interested in pyramid model implementation can explore the basics, and designed for educators, administrators, really thinking about those universal practices that support inclusion and social emotional development, that help to build relationships and help to reduce challenging behaviors. So registration for that is open through October 1st, and you can find more information on our website, and a link has been added to the chat. And as always, if you have questions, just let us know. I'm going to pass it back to Ladrika.
Thank you, Carrie. We are so excited about our first annual South Carolina Early Childhood Inclusion Conference. Like Dana said earlier, this will be a great opportunity to meet with us, your SCPI team, get a huge jump start on your PATH plan, and network with other district leaders who have already been through the PATH plan. This is a full-day conference at R2I2 in Columbia. It is designed to support early childhood educators and administrators to increase local capacity to provide inclusive services to preschool students with disabilities, promoting positive child outcomes. The sessions will provide opportunities for leadership teams to set goals and collaborate, as well as time to dive into topics around creating a high-quality early childhood program, specialized design instruction strategies for differentiation, and providing supports in the least restrictive environment. Participants will gain information, strategies, and materials that will promote service delivery to preschoolers with disabilities in inclusive settings. Registration is now open. We have amazing sessions planned, and you can view the breakout sessions on our website. Dana will drop the registration link in the chat box. She's already done so. And if you are technically savvy, you can use the QR code right there on the slide. You can access the registration link through that QR code. Okay, you will now hear from Melissa to go over the next slide.
Thanks, Ladrika. Okay, so today you've heard us talk about all the ways that SCPI can assist with implementing inclusive practices and meeting early childhood indicators within your district. Our team's incredibly passionate, if you couldn't tell. But if you're anything like me, when I'm about to either invest my time or my money into a product, you guys get this for free, by the way. I go straight to the reviews. So I want to hear what people outside of the company or organization have to say. So without further ado,
so as the newest member of our district team, one of the things that I have found that SCPI has done for us is they've become a part of our team, our preschool team. They have been an invaluable resource to us. They helped us with placements and just helping us to provide inclusive settings for our students in our district. So now we're serving the child rather than trying to fit the child into the services we provide.
SCPI has provided us a lot of information and a lot of resources over the years, but some of the most important ones that we really appreciate have been not only their ability to link us with other districts and other resources in the community that have helped our program grow. They've also provided us with professional development, such as the SEED Academy, which was a tremendous help. And they've also been able to provide professional development through the district leadership days.
Also having that collaboration with Carrie was a benefit. She was able to come to some of our team meetings and help guide us and give us support. So it definitely, took some time and effort, but it was definitely worth it in the end.
And partnership with Dr. Asada as well.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Through our partnership with SCPI, we have improved our State Department of Education LRE data. From 2016-17, we scored a 0, And with this partnership, we've improved that score to a 3. We've also been able to improve our continuum of services options. Previously in 2016-17, we had 2 options, and we've improved to 5 different options for our students.
Well, I'd say that's 5 stars. What do y'all think? First of all, I want to recognize our district partners who volunteered to step out of their comfort zone. I know many were a little nervous about being on screen, but they stepped out of their comfort zone and let us catch them on camera. So you guys rock. Thank you so much for that. And secondly, I guess I should tell y'all that when our marketing coordinator, Courtney, first sent us the final product on that, we may or may not have teared up a bit. Shh, it's a secret. We all chose this work to make a difference in the lives of children, but it's so easy to get wrapped up in the ups and downs of daily tasks. So hearing about the progress that's been made in districts as a result of partnership with SCPI is a great reminder that each of us can make a difference when we work together.
Thanks, Melissa. And I know she's talking about me. I definitely get in the feels when I watch that video, and I appreciate our partners for their willingness to support us. We didn't coach them on what they said, and it really, we help their district teams, but their teams have really become a part of our team as well. So I appreciate this collaboration and the collegiality that we have. Nope, not watching it again. I love it, but so I just, I like this little Dilbert cartoon here. I think we've all been here, right? Where we've gone to some type of training or workshop. We got some resources. It was great, but then it just kind of lived on a shelf where we didn't have the time and capacity to really dive back in and to actually implement what we learned. So we know that even if a practice has been proven to be effective by research, if it's not implemented properly or without fidelity, then it's not going to produce those positive outcomes that we intend. So this is why we talk about building a leadership team and making a 5-year plan and really being intentional about your planning for supports so that it doesn't just become, we had a great training and that was it. So SCPI really works to empower you all to implement those evidence-based inclusive early childhood practices with fidelity and to think about what's going to work for your particular district. Because we know it's all about building capacity, right? As technical assistance providers, we are happy to facilitate and support this work and support you through the process. But again, we know you're the experts on your community and on your school districts. We can come in and we can help you look through your data. We can help you think through things from a different angle, but it's a true partnership because when we step away, and we would not presume to say that we know everything about your community and your district because we're just not there. You're the experts. So if you've ever done work like this before, and I'm sure you all have, you know that managing complex change is challenging, right? It's not meant to happen in a day or a year even, right? Implementation science tells us this. We know that we have to think about things on the long term, right? 3 to 5 beyond years. And if you're missing any of these pieces that you see on the screen, then you're not going to have the intended outcome of success. So we need to think through our vision, the skills that we have, how we're incentivizing these initiatives, what are our resources, and what's the action plan, so we don't have any confusion amongst the team or anxiety or a false start on things. So with that, we have a little more than 15 minutes for questions. And I know I had seen some hands up and then down. So if you do have questions, go ahead and throw them in the Q&A. And I know there is one question that came in earlier that we were just holding off till the end to answer. So we'd love your questions, and I'm going to check them out right now. Let's see what I can answer. So I see a question about a Head Start program that works with a school district and asking kind of who would complete the application process to receive technical assistance. So like Melissa mentioned, We are funded by the South Carolina Department of Education's Office of Special Education Services as the early childhood TA provider for school districts. So we work with school districts to help them increase their early childhood practices and to improve their federal indicators for early childhood special education. So we work with districts, and it's just a little nuanced because all of our, you're all here, right? You're all in early childhood. So you know that early childhood is a different beast because we're called partnerships because we know we have to partner with our community organizations because preschool is not just happening within the districts. So yes, the district would have to seek out the application, and then you can communicate with the district around if you'd like to be involved on their team. The district might reach out to you about creating that partnership and thinking about sharing resources. And if that didn't answer your question, let me know. And I see another question about how do you register for support? So we're going to show you, Dana might have already put the link in the chat, but then we'll also have a QR code. And then we'll look at that application. And like Melissa mentioned, we're going to think about the information you shared there, the data that we've received from OSIS. We'll schedule a time to talk with you and get more information as well, because although it's voluntary for this school year, we need to focus on districts that have are kind of our priority districts based on need around federal indicator compliance and performance. And so again, if you're a partner that's on this call, you'd have to check with the folks that you know that work at the district. It has to be initiated through the school district.
I would say your best bet would be the director of special services or whoever is highly involved in IDEA.
Yeah. Well, and another shameless plug for the conference. So the conference has really been intended to support those school district leadership teams, those early childhood teams, which again, we want to focus on school districts, but we want to include our partners. So it's important to have Head Start at that table. It's important to have community childcare at that table. It's important to have families at that table. So that's a great way to really think about networking and starting a team or seeing if there's a team already. The conference would be a great opportunity to do that because we will be hosting some planning sessions and some teaming sessions in the morning. And then we're going to have a lot of great sessions around things like the C Academy and Part C to Part B transition and all the other wonderful things that I'm not recalling off the top of my head, but it's on our website. What other questions might you have? I know we have a few minutes left. And if you're anything like me, as soon as you get off this call, you'll think about other questions. We'll keep the questions coming in, but I'm just going to move to this slide so you have this information in front of you so that if you do think of a question later, you'll know how to contact us. We did share our email addresses at the beginning of this session, but if you've forgotten those, you can always go to our website and use the contact us button, or you can email our program email address, which is SCPI, SCPI at mailbox.sc.edu. If you do not already receive our electronic newsletter, I'd encourage you all to subscribe. That is really a great way to stay up to date with what we're doing and what training opportunities that we have available. If you want to check out any of our recorded training sessions, you can go to our YouTube, and we are on social media if that's your thing. We're on Facebook, as you see up there, but we are also now on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter as of this week. So, whatever is your poison, feel free to follow us there.
Carrie, we do have another question in the chat.
Sure.
Ashley is asking, would our Gen Ed 4K team benefit from the pyramid training? Behavior and SEL are definite needs for all those students.
Great question. And I'd say yes, because the behavior model is, nope, behavior, wait, sorry, pyramid model, I was getting very tongue-tied, is not just for kiddos with disabilities. It's just really best practice. It's developmentally appropriate practice for early childhood in how you set up a classroom and how you build those relationships and how you're intentional about promoting and teaching social emotional skills. And for everything that we're talking about, this is really a cross collaborative effort in thinking about getting our early childhood special education administrators, teachers, support staff, and our general education early childhood administrators, teachers, support staff to the table together, because we often see that when we are in silos, there's a lot of miscommunication. Things aren't happening in the way that we would have hoped to support all of our students. Thanks, Janet. Any other questions? Keep them coming. I'm gonna move the slide along so that you have the information about how you can apply if you're interested in our technical assistance. And we do have 10 minutes, but we're not going to force you to stay here.
Carrie, I love this quote. It's, you don't need to know all of the answers. You just need to be courageous enough to take the first steps and trust where it leads. And everything that we do that, really means something, we have to take a first step. And those steps might be challenging, and they might be a lot of work, but the end goal is amazing. So we just love this quote. And so this is for if anybody wants to take that first step and join us for a TA, you can use this QR code, or I believe Dana has put the registration application link into the chat.
Thanks, Melissa. And I see in the chat, yes, Erica, what we're going to do is we will take the recording from either today or yesterday. We'll see whichever one's looked better. And we will get that on our YouTube channel, and we will share that with everyone who registered for either session so that you're able to access that. And if you have other folks that you think should check it out and see if they're interested in applying for TA, we'll make sure that we get that over to you. Let's see, looks like we have something else in the Q&A. So the question is asking if we have data to help districts in determining the type of early childhood program model, such as full day versus half day 4K programs and special education programs. I'm not quite sure if you're asking for research that would support that. I can go ahead and look into that for you, but we do know that whatever we're offering to our general education 4K students, we must be offering for equity purposes to our students with disabilities. So if you have a full day 4K program for your students who are not disabled, then you need to have a full day special education 4K program for those students. I know there are some districts that still offer half day to everyone because of scheduling challenges and things. I can go ahead and check the research. I'd be willing to bet that a full day is preferable for everyone because it's just more exposure to peers, to learning those social emotional skills, making friends, and getting prepared for kindergarten. But I'll look into that for you if that's specifically what you want, some data and research that supports that. Anything else? I appreciate the questions. Well, if you do think of anything, you have our contact information. Don't be a stranger. You're not bothering us if you reach out to us, ask us questions. Again, if we don't have the answer, we're going to look into them for you. And we hope to hear from you. And we really do hope to see you in October at the conference. That'll be a great time to convene, to network, and to just learn more about what really is out there to support your programs. So everyone have a wonderful weekend, and thanks again so much for your time and your thoughtful questions. We appreciate you all.